Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's good. What is it doing? Hope everybody has a good technology day. As the technology has been up and down all week. While we're waiting for folks to get in, first let me say y'all did real good on the test. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Then again, that's just the first test. So that one was easy. But y'all did real good. Real good, real good, real good. All right. So we're going to continue on with crime scene. So while we're waiting for folks, you can go to Canvas and share in a minute. Soon as my screen comes up. We're still waiting for half the class. We're in the CSI module, and we are taking a look at recording the scene. You all did as you did your crime scene. Come on, open up. So go to Canvas and look at recording the crime scene and just kind of be looking at that while we wait for folks. Because like I said, half the class is still missing. All right. This page deals with photography and videography. Good morning, good morning. While we're waiting for folks, we are looking at in Canvas, recording the crime scene. No, alrighty. Still missing a lot of people. All right, again, if you give it another few minutes, but be reading uh, crime scene recording in Canvas, please, while we wait. Okay, we're gonna let these folks in and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Still missing folks, but I guess they'll just catch up when they catch up. Okay, under the wire, under the wire. All right, everybody else after this is late, and will be marked accordingly. All right, so we're going to get started. We're starting with CSI. Um, so just to backtrack a little bit, we've been looking at um, collecting evidence. And one of the ways you can collect evidence is through photography. So when we were looking at last question, I asked you if you were to decide on a specialty. One of the specialties you could decide on is photography. And people like to get a job doing something they like to do. And some of you said that you liked photography. So this would be a good line where you could, you know, have a good career doing what you like to do. Um, So again, documenting the evidence through photography and videos and sketching is very, very important. So give this a read, and then we'll come back to this in a sec. I'm going to sh share this short video. There you go. You're back. Okay.
Investigation. If you're the head person responsible for taking photographs, it's extremely important. If you're someone that's involved, being able to take good photographs is also a very important skill to have, because it would be very helpful. Now, you do not need the most expensive of camera gear or equipment. We're going to go over some of the key photographs you need to be
We're glitching this morning badly. Sorry.
considering or taking when investigating a crime scene. So first off, the basic rules. Never move an object before photographing it. And this doesn't mean you just take one quick picture and move on. You may want to take it from multiple angles. You might be looking at multiple zoom-ins, multiple areas you might be photographing, again, depending what that object may be. I think that's important. Even if you don't deem it important to begin with, it's very important to take pictures before you move it. The key thing to remember, when in doubt, take a photograph, especially now with the digital age of photographs. Carry your extra memory cards, make sure you got plenty of space, and just take a lot of pictures. Now, photograph advantages. The reason why we take a lot of pictures is it's a quick method of documentation. It's very accurate, generates interest, and can be used as evidence. Digital images can be enhanced and also stored. We want to be careful on how far we enhance them, but the key part is they can be stored for long periods of time, they can be backed up, and this is all important, especially if a crime scene gets reinvestigated later. So the age of digital photography, it could be the larger cameras or even just phones as well, in some way documenting that, what was seen. So some of the disadvantages, though, of photography, so it's not all pros. They can be altered. That's why we want to be careful of, modifying them. Distortion is possible, and perspective can add an influence. So we want to create a scene that, through modifications that didn't really occur, nor do we want to just capture one thing without maybe taking into account something else that occurred. So they're not perfect, but they are definitely a major piece that's expected of documentation for crime scenes. So perspective is everything. So I mentioned this, where we got to be careful on how we take pictures. Looking like the baby has large feet. The person holding the plane is really just coming in for a landing. Look quick here, it looks like he has pig's feet, and properly placed flags here for the swimmer. So perspective is everything, and we want to be mindful, not just focusing maybe on one thing. We want to be focused on the entire scene to make sure we're not causing some sort of false story or false depiction of what might be going on in that image. So types of photographs, we'll have establishing photographs, medium range of photographs, close-up, and macroscopic photographs. We're kind of going to break those down, and kind of they're all represented right here. Basically, we want to establish the scene. We want to get to an area where maybe someone came in this doorway, a close-up of something that may have occurred, and maybe more of a macroscopic view of maybe the details of what's going on there. So that establishing photograph depicts an overall view of the scene. This can include a broad shot, the buildings, the approach, the escape routes, witnesses, and etc. So here we're going to be focusing on here. This just gives you an idea. This is looks like a high school here. There's a car nearby. Again, we're going to be focusing on the doorway here, but it kind of gives us an idea of, okay, maybe someone could pull up here very easily. There's park benches. Maybe there could have been witnesses. It's like the front of the school. So this kind of establishes the area. Getting a little bit closer, they said we're focusing on that door in this case. This is the medium range photograph. shows the relationship between objects with the concentration on the immediate scene. So it shows the relationship of evidence in a given space. So while we're focused on the door, now that we're a little bit closer, you can see that there's some sort of water hose here. That could played into it. There could be, someone could have tripped on it, someone could have moved that. There could be soil that's left behind. There could be some sort of movement, some sort of trace elements. We also know the door is propped open, so maybe there could be fingerprints on here. Looking at the close proximity here to a corner. So this all gives us ideas and that relationship of how these objects may interrelate. We get to close-up photography. This depicts a single item as evidence, and oftentimes these are included from multiple angles. So here we're seeing the door propped up with this piece of wood. Could take it from another angle, but we're really focused on just that one piece of evidence there, that maybe this was added by someone to kind of allow for easy access in and out. The other are macroscopic, so again, not microscopic, macroscopic. This is an extreme close-up of very small objects in which the size of the subject is in the photograph is greater than life size. So here we're looking just as an example of a fly. You can see a lot of great details that's going on. It's great for this evidence, this type of photograph is evidence for showing that fine detail, the fine wispiness, the fine hairs, can really get at something that might be needed as trace evidence, for example. So all photographs need include a size reference to help establish that. So not always do we have this advantage of having the ruler, but we could have the need for putting a dollar bill that's 6 inches long, or something of known size. It could be a pocket knife, something, a quarter, a penny, something that we know the size of so that it can be determined and easily measured, so we get a general idea of the perspective of the size of whatever object we're looking at. So hopefully this is helpful in looking at our information about photography and how important it is for crime scenes.
Alrighty. Pause him. And let's come back to our. All right. So hopefully you had a chance to read through this and go through this slide here. So one of the things he mentioned that we have to remember with our modern day society, and a lot of y'all do this, you create filters on your pictures and you put masks on. When you're at a crime scene, it's very important that you take accurate pictures and you're not taking pictures from someone else. These days people can send in pictures of stuff and you have to be careful that they have not been altered to represent what they want you to think. So our modern day technology does not necessarily help the crime scene investigation with other people and they trying to be witnesses and things of that nature. All right, so taking pictures, and I noticed he said, don't just take one picture, take several pictures, take it from several different angles. Trying to have 3D pictures. He mentioned doing a macro photograph. Anything with macro in front of it means it's bigger than it should be. Micro is smaller than it should be. We don't want micro pictures. We want macro pictures because we want to magnify things as much as possible without distorting the evidence. All right, so you want to keep a log of not just written report, but a photographic report. So this one, it says each scene should have a minimum of 4 photos. And then you can have overlapping panoramic. So that's another new technique that some of your cameras have the broad range picture, not just a short squared off. Your phones can do panoramic pictures these days. You want eye level perspective of photos made at a height of the first responders and any witnesses. The types of photos shown more clearly if obstructions were in the line of sight of the person. All right, so keep that in mind. And I'm not going to read all of these to you. So take the time to read through this. I'll give you another minute in case you just came in, you were asked to read through this. And then come down here and do the interactive before we go on to the next set. I'm going to stop sharing so I can do attendance. So finish reading this and do the interactive, and I'll be right back as soon as I finish attendance. If you finish that, go on to the next module. This is in Canvas. This is in Canvas. It is the unit recording the scene. Okay. It's in Canvas under recording the scene. I stopped sharing too quickly, but it's in Canvas under record CSI unit, and it is under recording the scene. So read that page over, do the um, interactive activity, and I'm going to do attendance, and I'll be right back. Oh, Mary. Also, remember, I do attendance by looking at Go Guardians, and I'm looking at Go Guardian, and half of y'all ain't reading. Everybody should be in Canvas looking at recording the scene. Quite a few people out today. All right, Don, has anybody ever told you that on GoGuardian they have you offline, almost marked you absent? But I see you. Yes, I see you're present, but I'm not saying that when I look at GoGuardian, it has you offline. And I usually say students who are offline are absent, but you're not. You're present. I got you. Okay. I don't know why that is. This is why I always double check my roster after before I say save. All righty. All righty. All right, Abigail, I don't know what you mean by the individual injury tab shows a slide for indoor. I don't know what that means.
Can you, excuse me, can you look at my screen?
Okay. If I can get back to it. All right. Okay, I'm looking at your screen on GoGuardian, but all I see is you looking at me. Okay. And then what did you want me? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. When you click on the tab, it's showing you, so that's not correct. All right, let me come back to that. Gotcha. I see that. All right, what she's talking about when you click on it, let me pull up my share screen. Thank you for sharing that, pointing that out to everybody. So what happens when you click on um, indoor? So you're getting both the same. Okay. All righty. So that means we need to go back. All right, so you're getting two slides that both say indoor crime instead of indoor crime scene instead of getting individual injury. So this is what you need to do. Let's go. Two. All right. That's not the one. I'm in the wrong. It jumped on me. And I go click. Stay. They have individual evidence, but they don't have individual injury. All right. Well, let's see what we can do about that. All right, we're going to come back to individual injury, and I will get you a page on that. All right, so let's go on to the next one. evidence collecting techniques. All right, we kind of looked at this one. We saw the video um, about these search patterns. And there are different types of evidence that need to be collected. So I think we kind of looked at this already because we saw the video on it. All right, so these are all the things that and that's a lot of stuff. So when you go to a crime scene, you want to make sure that you are looking for everything, everything, fibers, glass, hairs, saliva, knowing something about firearms and bullets, all the tool markings. So what did they use? They might have used a screwdriver to break in. So you want to know what kind of edges that different tools have so that the markings that are left behind, you can identify them and you want to photograph them. And then there's fingerprints. Later on, we're going to do a unit on fingerprinting, and I'm going to have you do your fingerprints and study your fingerprints, but that's later. All right. So we're going to go past this one. All right. So, um, so you did your crime scene report, and this was part of your looking at the evidence list. So read that over. So take a few minutes and read this page over because this is kind of review too, because we did our activity using this list of things that you need to be aware of. And then come down here and do this one. Okay. So we are on the crime scene documentation part. So take a few minutes to read this page and then come down and do the interactive. Stop sharing for a second. Looks like everybody's picking this time to do bathroom break, and that's okay. Just hurry back. Make sure that you're reading when you get back. All right, so we're going to watch this one on documentation. Hopefully all the bathroom folks are back.
Crime scene documentation. It won't take long for you to realize that the study of forensic science will take more than a one-semester course. In this class, we'll start with the documentation of a crime scene, which is the first step in any investigation. Then we will learn about collecting evidence. While we are examining the evidence, we will learn the science behind forensic science in the different areas. The first officer on the scene should secure the area after anyone needing medical assistance has been tended to. Also, the perpetrator of the crime should be arrested, if, of course, the perpetrator is there. Isolating the scene is not. Neighbors and curiosity seekers may damage valuable evidence, so that first responding officer has to really work at it. Often, investigators only have a limited time to document a scene. There are 3 methods that are used, and of course you're familiar with these from TV. There's photographs, there's sketches, and there's notes. When taking photographs, make sure that the entire area is included and all the adjacent areas. Photographs should be taken from different angles, and this is very important because different angles show us different things about a crime scene. Close-up photographs of injuries and weapons are very important. Crime involves a body. The area beneath the body should be photographed. At the end of this class, as a final project, you will look closely at some crime scene photographs and take notes on them. You might want to practice doing a sketch, but it will not be required. Sketches are done after photographs are completed. All items in the sketch should be designated by a letter that corresponds to a legend at the bottom of the sketch. Of course, we have to use a legend because if we tried to label everything in a sketch, much too crowded and we wouldn't be able to follow
All
it.
right, my Zoom
Now,
is
as far
doing
as
weird
accurate
things.
dimensions, if you've seen the movie, maybe The Bone Collector, in that movie, there is a scene where the investigator
Has this video been
sees a
playing?
piece
Because
of evidence and he
my
doesn't have
screen
anything to
froze, so I'm
measure
not,
it with, so
I don't
he
know what
lays
you're
a
seeing.
dollar bill down next to it. He used that because it is a dimension that we all know. This is an example of a crime scene sketch, and it looks pretty detailed. And of course, it is very detailed, and that's important. The finished sketch is completed by a skilled individual
thank you.
using templates and drafting tools. And that's why that sketch just now looked so very detailed. The tools of technology, such as CAD, which is computer-aided design, may be used. If you are someone that is interested in CAD, this might be an area for you. This is an example of a sketch done by a student in a previous section of this class. This student has done a very detailed sketch. This was great. And here's another example of a sketch done by a different student. Do you see the difference between these two sketches? Do you really think this sketch would be helpful to someone documenting a crime scene to maybe reconstruct the scene? I don't think so. The other one would have been, but this one wouldn't be. So you're not an artist. You just do a rough sketch of the scene, and don't forget detailed notes should accompany the sketch. The finished sketch will be done later by a more skilled individual, so don't worry. Again, if you are an artist, maybe you'll want to be the skilled individual doing the sketches later. Notes are very important. They should be detailed and accurate because it might be years before a case comes to trial. Most of us can't remember clearly enough for a trial, especially when there have been many other crime scenes before the evidence from a particular scene is used in a trial. In my case, sometimes I can't even remember from one day to the next. It might seem like there isn't much to do in this unit, but the websites are packed with information. Be sure to take good notes on the readings because this information forms the foundation of forensic investigation.
Okay. All right, so let's look at these. Hopefully these were include. So these are vocabulary, so make sure that you I might give a quiz on these on one.
Click
Oops.
here to make your very
Hold
own
on,
monster on
I
Adapted
got to go
Mind,
stop
where
this video.
monsters teach
So
you
can
math.
Stop talking to me.
Oh my, that monster.
Oh, cute. It was talking in my ear. Alrighty. So includes a brief audio. So you want to go through crime scene, arrival and departure times are listed on the report, and you all had to do that on your report. And some of you did not say identify yourself as the first person on the scene. Final version, scaled, standard, sketch, minimum of 4 of these, and you have to have 4 of those. All right, let's see if I'm right. Yay! All right, so make sure you had all of those correct. All right, moving on. We're going to be finished with this unit before you know it. I am investigating the lab activity that right now the website that I do the lab on is not accessible at the moment, but we'll get to that. All right, so we already did this activity. Those of you who haven't done it, make sure you get that turned in. All right, so we're on archaeology. Archaeology has to do with bones. So and then I have a activity for you where you're going to examine the bones. And so you need to make sure that you are aware of the 3 things that you're looking for in the case. And in this interactive activity, you're going to move the bones around. You're going to, based on the bones, you're going to figure out the age, the sex, and some other characteristics about the individual and actually determine which bones belong to which person. So give this page a read. That's probably something we'll complete on Wednesday. All right, so everybody should be on archaeology. And people keep asking me about parts of the microscope. That is the next unit, but it's something that should not have been visible to you yet. So don't worry about it. It's not showing up on my grade book. While I can't make the assignment disappear, it's not assigned to you, so it shouldn't be something that you're still seeing. But we're getting there. So we'll make that issue disappear shortly. Okay. I'm going to I am trying to find. Okay, we'll leave that for later. All right, if you finish that one, go on to the module wrap up. I told you we're going to be finished with this one kind of quick. So you should be on the module wrap up. It should be available. I saw that it wasn't published, but it should be published now. Yeah, it's published. All right, so the module wrap up. We are done with the CSI unit. And on Wednesday, so I want you to practice on this one, because Wednesday I may create the activity based on the slides from this module. So let's take a look at that. And my computer is so slow, it's driving me crazy. Uh-oh. And every time I go to share, my whole screen blacks out. Okay, so you should be on the module. If yours, sorry, the module wrap up. So if yours doesn't show, refresh your page because it wasn't published before, but now it's published. So make sure that you can see the wrap up. And like I said, what I'm going to do on Wednesday is take these wrap up activities and make them a submittable assignment. All right. So you want to decide whether you want to, following evidence, it was collected, place the pieces of evidence in the correct evidence class. All right, so that's a definition. Class evidence or individual evidence. Again, go back to your vocabulary, check to see which one is which. I guess you click, when you click on the box, it'll go. Okay, and then the next one will pop up. And then it'll slide over. Okay. All right, fingerprints. Individual. Or size 8 Reebok. With a chunk of the. All right, let's try. That definitely identifies an individual. Hair with no. Okay. Because you don't know who the hair, but even though hair belongs to one person, you don't know whose hair it is. So, all right, the Levi's, tire treads. All right, so while this is a click and drag, on Wednesday, you may have this as a matching activity on a quiz. So make sure that you go through and finish doing those, then come down here, look at the definitions, and then come down here and look at this one. All right, now you may need to go back to this section again. I think we kind of skipped over these. So let's go back to search and seizure module. And make sure that you look at the all right, legal issues. So let's go back and look at that one. Because I think we kind of skipped it somewhere along the way. All right, yeah, we kind of did. So come back here and read over this one so that you know what you, and everybody, you hear them on the TV all the time talking about, read them, their Miranda rights. Okay, so we didn't skip it. All right, but make sure you read this part over, and then it has all of the amendments. The answer to that question that we were just looking at is right here. Well, we didn't spend much time on this one, so come back and read this one. And that's the unit legal issues and crime scene lesson. Remember, everything you collect and everything we do at a crime scene is so that we can take it to court. It has to be legal. Everything has to be done correctly. So make sure you read that over, know when you need a search warrant. We did do the chain of custody acting, but spend some time the rest of the time today looking at that one and doing the matching. So like I said, on Wednesday, I'll have those activities done as a matching thing that you can turn in for a grade. So make sure you practice those, read this part over. And that's where we're going to stop today. So hopefully by Friday, I put into, we do Gizmo labs. We do labs, and hopefully we can do, the next unit is the microscope. So hopefully we can do the lab for the microscope using an actual microscope virtually. So that is where we're headed with that. All right, so again, use the rest of this time this morning to maybe reread the legal issues and then go back to the module wrap up. Or read over everything if you need to. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is where everybody should be if you're not reading the other. All right, so again, I'm going to take all of these on Wednesday and make them into a quiz. So if I was you, I'd be taking notes so that you have a cheat sheet. That's what I would do. So after you finish, as you drag these into different places, I would take notes on that. These are the vocabulary words. So I would write down these 4 things from vocabulary, and then I would write down the answers to these multiple choice questions. Okay. All right. Any questions? Any questions? I do have some report grading otherwise. Most of you are up to date, but if you're not up up to date, this is a good time to make sure you've turned in everything. Progress reports go out next week, so everything needs to be, some of you still have to turn in your review page. I got 3 or 4 of you that still need to turn in the crime scene report. So that's you. Get that out of the way before Wednesday so that you're not piling on something else. Actually, Wednesday will be an in-class do it or don't. So that's not something you'll have extra time to do. All right, if everything is good on your end, everything's good on my end, I'll see you Wednesday. Also, tutorials have started, so if you need time to talk, Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm available from 1:30 to on the days when you'll have Tuesdays and Fridays from 1:30 to 1:35 to 2:05 for me because I can only do 30-minute sessions. But let me know if you need extra help. Also, when I noticed that on some of you, you made your own crime scene picture instead of using the one that was in the assignment. Don't do that. No, you were not. For the crime scene report, you were supposed to look at the picture that was given, and you were supposed to analyze that based on the question. So you were the reporting officer, responding officer. And then you were supposed to decide based on the picture. All right, there's a little bit of imagination that had to go with that. Based on the picture, okay, let me see if I can pull that up for you. Crime scene report. All right, I'm gonna share for a quick minute here. This was the report to the crime scene. Like I said, somebody created a whole, it wasn't for this one, it was for the bedroom scene. Somebody created a whole different bedroom. All right, come on, share. My share is always, it always takes out my home picture and redesigns it. All right, for this, you were supposed to based on what you're looking at, this, and some of you made this a bedroom or a basement. So you had to just decide what was the location. Use your imagination, give me a location. You are the responding officer, so your name should have gone. And I'm looking at the report scene here. I'm going down the list on the report. You were supposed to decide the location. You are the responding officer. You had to decide what emergency people that would be necessary to document this scene. So a lot of this, you had to just give me something. All right, there was nothing on the picture that said the time of arrival. You had to make up a time of arrival, and based on the time that you think you would have spent at the scene collecting evidence and doing what's necessary, then you had to make up a time of departure. You had to give a very big description of the scene. And some of these other ones um, you just merely needed to say that you noticed somebody walking by or something like that. You have one of the officers was a videographer, so they were doing the documents, and then document any other documents, record, and basically you needed to make sure that you were following this evidence report as well. Okay. All right. So that's what it said. Using the first 10 on this report, make sure that you completed the answers. And number 6, it said make sure that you have a detailed paragraph of the scene. So that's what you were. So yes, you kind of made it up. There was no definite thing in the picture, but use your imagination. All right. Okay. That being said, I'll see you all on Wednesday because we are over time.